So the last time we covered this story, or the first time, it was about the Kentucky sheriff walking into the judge's chambers, telling everybody else to leave. They had a video of the sheriff looking at both his and the judge's phones, placing the judge's phone back on the table, then shooting him. The sheriff shot the Kentucky judge, walked outside as everybody was coming in, the first responders and things like that, giving the judge CPR, trying to, I guess. Then the sheriff walks back in and then puts everything down on the table and basically gets arrested. What they said, everybody was looking like, because the sheriff walked in, they probably thought the sheriff was there to help them at first, until he puts all his stuff down and like, yeah, take me, I did it. So we basically have his update right now where the sheriff pled not guilty, which is crazy. So like I was saying in the last video, if you haven't seen that, I'm sure it'll be at the end or somewhere up here where they have video footage. So what did the sheriff see? Did he see that the judge was touching little kids or touching his kids, was in an affair with his wife, and he's something that he seen that just made him snap right there? I don't know, but look, I just need to update on this. We have here Kentucky sheriff charged in fatal courthouse shooting. Please not guilty. I don't know nothing about it. I'll watch it with you guys and give my honest opinion. Let's see. Whew.
All right, I'm going to call the case of Commonwealth versus Sean Steins, 24F 147, Letcher District Court. Is the Commonwealth present?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Judge Ramsey Dallin on behalf of the Commonwealth.
And Jackie Steele also on behalf of the Commonwealth, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And I see the defendant. Is that the defendant at the Leslie County Detention Center?
Yes, Your Honor.
And who is standing next to him?
I'm Josh Miller, Public Defender of the Capital Trials Branch.
Danny Clark, Jailer, Leslie County.
All right, thank you.
So he has a public defender.
And has the defendant filed a petition for indigency?
Not at this point, Your Honor.
He just asked him, has he filed a petition to say he crazy, like he had no control over himself?
Okay. And what about the Commonwealth? Does Commonwealth want to make any statements before I proceed with arraignment?
No, Your Honor. Other than I don't know why Mr. Miller is present. If he's not filed out an agency paperwork, his office has not been appointed. I don't know that he has any reason to be here as in an official capacity as an attorney.
Right. Mr. Miller, do you believe that he's entitled to a public defender at this time?
I do, Your Honor.
And why is that?
This is a capital eligible case, and I believe that the cost of defending an ethical defense of a capital eligible case will exceed his means.
Oh, they're trying to say he got a lot of money as a sheriff while he got a public defender here, and the prosecutor hasn't heard anything about him having an attorney, so they didn't even know he had one.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Steele?
I would, Your Honor. A couple of things. One, I believe what he's telling me is that he's been out soliciting a client, which is obviously not allowed under our ethical obligations as attorneys. Two, even if he hasn't, if he has and he's been out trying to discern how much his financial capacities are, he's wasting state resources without an appointment. And this court is the party that appoints an attorney, not DPA, whatever division, just because they think he's going to need one.
Oh, so they saying if this is in Kentucky, they say like the sheriff might. He's not saying this, but this is what he implies when you take it all away. Yo, he hasn't even filed any paperwork that says that he can't afford his own attorney, and he need a public defender. So why are you already here? That means like they already did it and said, oh, let's do the sheriff and let's get ahead of it. And they already ahead and wasting state resources, he said. Like, how did you do this and spend? He's a public defender. So if he went to the courthouse and was sitting there and found out how much he made and how much it was going to cost and all this, he like, how you know we're going to that already? Maybe he's going to take a plea deal and we just only last one day. Who knows? That's what he's asking. That's what he's implying.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Miller?
Your Honor, in cases like this, it is essential that a defense investigation start immediately, and I haven't solicited anything, but advised Mr. Steins of his rights, and if the court appoints us, we will represent him.
Is he still the sheriff of Leslie County?
At this point, I believe so. Letcher County.
Letcher County, I'm sorry.
Judge, I can't speak to that, and he currently is still the sheriff of Letcher County.
Yeah, well, I don't think he would qualify as an indigent defendant.
His hold office. He was voted in, so how can he be not fit?
Well, sir, we're happy to, or Mr. Stein just will put any paperwork, file anything that would help the court make that determination. Obviously, the court is the one that appoints us.
Has he filed an affidavit for indigency?
Not at this point, Your Honor.
All right, we'll proceed with formal arraignment. Are you Sean Steins?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can't be used against you. Have your silence can't be used to find you guilty. County attorney must prove your guilt, or the Commonwealth must prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to call witnesses on your behalf. You have the right to cross-examine witnesses called against you. You have the right to a speedy public trial by a jury of your peers. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, I'll appoint one to represent you. And you have the right to appeal any decision that I make. You're charged with murder, a capital offense here in Kentucky, a Class A felony, punishable by 20 to 50 years in prison, 25 years to life in prison, 25 years to life without the possibility of parole, and the possibility of the death penalty.
I've been smoking myself. Indigency, like they try to see if he has a elected office, he's still being paid the sheriff stipend. So why would he be indigent? Like why would he be home? Why would he be in poverty? Why would he need that? And he damn sure ain't crazy.
Do you have an attorney, Mr. Steins?
I have not hired one.
Have you tried to hire an attorney? Have you spoken to any attorneys about taking your case?
No, sir.
And are you telling me that you don't have the means to, do you not have the means? Do you own a home?
Yes.
Do you own any other real estate?
Got a place in Tennessee, but it's still on for it with the bank.
Yeah. Do you know how much equity you have in your own home?
My home and my property is paid for.
And do you have an estimated value of that real property?
They're trying to make him pay for his own
BBA's got
defense.
it on for about $45,000.
And what's your income?
It's based on statute. I think this year it was going to be $115,000.
Do you have money savings, bank accounts?
I had a check-ins.
Even the sheriff living paycheck to paycheck.
Sir, it's my understanding that he's in the process of losing his job as the sheriff of Letcher County, obviously, and will not have income going forward. His family is not prepared for this eventuality.
I wouldn't say obviously.
And again, I think the cost of defending one of these cases can reach well into this several $100,000.
Even if it does, they want him to reach it first. They want to take him for his money. Why he deserve it, right? If he's the sheriff that killed the judge.
You're entitled to, since you're charged with a felony, you're entitled to have a preliminary hearing within 10 days from the date of this arraignment. Do you believe you'll be able to obtain counsel to represent you on these charges within those 10 days?
I hope so. It's kind of hard, where I'm at, having contact with people I need to.
That it is going to take a considerable amount of money to retain an attorney to represent you on this capital offense. However, I don't believe you do at this time qualify as for public assistance due to the fact that you aren't indigent. However, based on this case,
he's not,
and the fact that we do need to have a preliminary hearing within 10 days, I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you for the limited purpose of assisting you at your preliminary hearing. If and when this case does proceed to circuit court, the circuit court may require you to hire your own counsel. Do you understand that, Mr. Steins?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does he want to enter a plea at this time?
Your Honor, he would enter a plea of not guilty and request a date for preliminary hearing.
All right. We'll set the preliminary hearing next Tuesday, October the 1st at 1 o'clock in West Liberty, Kentucky.
That's what I'm going to have to look up here. Next, what do you say? October what?
West Liberty, Kentucky.
October the 1st, next Wednesday. That's when we have.
Excuse me, Your Honor. We said October 1st.
Indigent. That bothered me that I got that word wrong. I took a bong hit before I came up here. I said indigent meant crazy. I don't know what word I was thinking of for a second. It means poor. I don't know what word I was thinking of when I said that.
At 1 o'clock.
But it bothered me.
Yes, October 1st at 1 o'clock in West Liberty, Kentucky at the Morgan County Judicial Center.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else before we adjourn this hearing?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
No,
Just
Your
one
Honor.
thing, Judge. I do have one thing, Judge, just for clarification. In regards to transportation for the defendant, how would the court prefer? I don't care to do an order for that to be done.
I was thinking that we would have the state police post a transport if they would. I don't know that we'll need an order. I'll just request it.
Let me see this. I want to see this other video.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear is asking
The governor called sheriff to resign.
for Letcher County Sheriff Sean Steins to step down from his position. Steins is accused of shooting and killing District Judge Kevin Mullins inside his chamber 1 week ago today. Today, Beshear explained his decision, saying all he's trying to do is get Letcher County a sheriff that can be active as soon as possible.
Every Kentucky county needs an active and a working sheriff. I mean, one of the most important roles of state government is to provide safety to our people. And right now, Letcher County doesn't have an active and a working sheriff. The facts that we all know, regardless of motive, which will be determined through the criminal investigation, show that the current sheriff can't continue in that role.
Steins appeared in court over Zoom Wednesday and pleaded not guilty to murder. No bond was set. His next court appearance is scheduled for October 1st.
So we know that. We seen the update. Hey, I don't know why that word got me tripping. I was thinking of some type of word that meant like when you can't hold, not incognate, but like you can't hold stuff and you can't, I don't know what it was. But listen, so October 1st, I'll be looking for an update. The Kentucky governor wants the sheriff to resign, but we just seen that he could barely afford an attorney right now with his $115,000 a year's salary. So if he resigns, he's damn sure ain't getting that paid, which man and where he qualify him for that. The sheriff know what it's like to be poor now. When you need help, when you're just above the line to get help, you're like, oh man, if you make $40 less, we can give you some help. But you don't. So the sheriff is on that. So in a way, it could look like it. He murdered somebody. He killed somebody. As a sheriff, you got to go down because, one, even if he did do something, you were supposed to, the sheriff is supposed to have self-control in all situations to be able to just arrest somebody. But who knows if it was snap-worthy. Like I said, it had to be something crazy. But either then, he still got to resign. You might be let go or put on parole if he did something heinous. But they're not going to let you go. This is crazy. He didn't plan for it. He affected his wife, his kids. Now they lose that salary. His wife is a single mom now. He had no savings, just a checking account. They wasn't planning for this at all. But let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. I'm tired of hearing myself say that anyway. Let's just get this channel up so we can get people to be honest about